The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. Jesus told his disciples this parable. A man going on a journey called in his servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to a third 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. Immediately the one who received 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5. Likewise, the one who received 2 made another 2. But the man who received 1 went off and dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants came back and settled accounts with them. The one who had received 5 talents came forward, bringing the additional 5. He said, "Master, you gave me 5 talents. See, I have made 5 more." His master said to him, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Since you were faithful in small matters, I will give you great responsibilities. Come, share your master's joy." Then the one who had received 2 talents also came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 talents. See, I have made 2 more." His master said to him, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Since you are faithful in small matters, I will give you great responsibilities. Come, share your master's joy." Then the one who had received the 1 talent came forward and said, "Master, I knew you were a demanding person, harvesting where you did not plant and gathering where you did not scatter. So out of fear, I went off and buried your talent in the ground. Here it is back." His master said to him in reply, "You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I did not plant and gather where I did not scatter? Should you not then have put my money in the bank so that I could have got it back with interest on my return? Now then, take the talent from him and give it to the one with 10. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will grow rich. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And throw this useless servant into the darkness outside, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth." The Gospel of the Lord. If you happen to observe these 2 Sundays, consecutive 2 Sundays, you notice the first statement in the Gospel says, Jesus told his disciples. Meaning to say, he is already instructing his disciples. The previous Sundays, before these 2 consecutive Sundays, he was always teaching or talking to Pharisees and the scribes to give them opportunity to receive the grace of God. Now he's talking to his disciples. And then when he teaches his disciples, he made use of parables. At least we have heard 2 parables. One is the parable of the 10 virgins, is now the parable of the talent. They have one commonality, and what is that? One element is the coming back of someone. The parable of the 10 virgins talk about the coming of the bridegroom. The parable of the talent is the coming back from a long journey of the master. And they have the same thing. Nobody knows of the exact time, neither the day of his coming. However, they should not live idly. They have to do something while waiting. And in this case, Jesus would want to tell his disciples of his coming back, of his second coming, that they should be prepared. They should do something. They should not just wait idly, idle lives. They have to do something. The first parable last Sunday, what had happened? The wise virgins lighted their lamps until the bridegroom arrived. What does it mean? In Christian life, while we wait for Jesus, we have to keep the light of faith burning all the time. We should not make our faith fade. That sometimes it is so strong, that sometimes it's so weak. We should not allow it to happen. Rather, make our faith always burning, that we may really long for God always. That is why they were lighted in the dark nights, meaning to say, in the times that there is uncertainty, they have to keep their faith burning. And in today, but the faith is not enough that we may be able to enter into the banquet of God, now into the Master's joy. Faith is not enough. There is the second one, that faith should be accompanied by work. As St. James had said, faith without work is dead. So faith should be accompanied by work. That is why we have the parable of the talents today. That the master gave them, entrusted to them his possessions. Remember, according to their ability. Not all have the same ability, but according to their ability, he distributed to them his possessions and entrusted unto them. That's how generous the master was. And then he left. The two were very enthusiastic, and they produced another one, another 5, one, another 2. But the one who received 1 did not do anything, but buried the talent underground. What's the reason? The reason is mainly because he has negative feeling towards his master. Remember what he said, I know you are a demanding person. You harvested where you did not plant. You gather where did you not scatter. He has a very negative attitude toward the master. That is why he was not fruitful. In which case, it's the same thing that can happen to any one of us. When we have always negative feeling to anyone, we never move on. We cannot in any way reach happiness if we always see in each person negativity. That's why in the end, what was the master's word? You wicked, lazy. That was the description of the master on this third servant of him. He was wicked. He was wicked out of what he had said, because he has that negative feeling about him. And so this is the second part that God would want us to make use of our talents, beginning with good perception, good feelings to everyone. Now, how can we apply this today? I would like to tell you now that today the Pope has declared that this day, November 19, is the first World Day of the Poor. And why is it that there is first World Day of the Poor? What's in the poor? Let me narrate to you a story at this point so I can explain it better. Once I was assigned in a parish somewhere in the Philippines, and I have a parishioner who owned a bus company transport. In the Philippines, it's a typhoon area. And the Bicol area was hit by a strong typhoon. And what had happened to this bus company, after the typhoon, only one bus was left intact. Even those buses put into garage, they were all destroyed. But there was one bus left. And this bus was exposed to the typhoon because it was parked just right in front of a chapel of Our Lady of the Abandoned on the road, no cover at all. And with gratitude to the chapel, the owner, the lady owner, would like to donate some monoblocks into the chapel. And she would ask them to be delivered to the chapel. And then she would want to look after that if it is already delivered, but she happened to pass by a drugstore to buy her medicine. And while she is about to pay, she noticed somebody at her back is also lining up to pay. And she would like to look who is that, and she recognized that there is a poor lady at her back. And then after she paid, she stepped on the side and then allowing that poor lady to pay her due. And she got her payment and gave it to the cashier, and the cashier scolded her because her money is not enough. She was put to shame. And the cashier said, "Go away because you don't have enough money. You are barring people to pay." And the lady pitied the woman and said, "Okay, give it to her. I'll pay for her dues." But the woman, the owner of the bus company, saw the skin of the lady when she is about to pay, because the lady was wearing long-sleeve gray color. When she's about to pay and handing the money, she saw the skin is so fine. That's why she was amazed and wondering what happened. She is poor and yet her skin is so fine. That's why she observed the lady. And she looked at her, and then after she paid, they part ways. And she proceeded to the chapel. And then she already knew that the chairs were all there, and she knelt in front, the pew in front, to pray and thank the Lord for that. When she raised her eyes at the altar, she saw the image of the Blessed Mother, and it was exactly the face and the feature of the lady at the drugstore. And she said, "Blessed Mother, is that you? Please show yourself to me again." She prayed. And then she left and went back home. After a few days, she was notified by one neighbor of her that a lady was looking for her. And she asked, "Who is she?" "We do not know." But they described her features, and exactly the same feature that she saw. And she said, "She is the one." So she prepared food. She prepared food for the lady, and then she was waiting. Noontime came, nobody arrived. At about 3 o'clock, nobody arrived. So she went to that person who reported to her that somebody was looking for her, and they traced where the lady went, and they followed that direction until at the end of the road, they found a group of beggars who are hungry, waiting for someone to feed them. He hurried back home, took the food he prepared, and brought that food to this group of beggars and feed them. As she narrated the story, after that incident, her bus company flourished even more. Why, I ask, what's in the poor? The poor is not a burden. The poor is a blessing. Why are they blessing? Because Jesus once said, "Blessed are the poor, for they will inherit the kingdom." Therefore, the poor are the heirs of the kingdom. If we despise them, we despise the prince of the kingdom, the heir of the kingdom. If we dishonor them, we dishonor the prince, the heir of the kingdom. In another instance, I was assigned in one of the parishes in Manila area. It's a urbanized area. I was constructing a church. It so happened I have to order a stained glass. It's so it's so high. It cost in the Philippine currency 360,000 pesos. But I have only 20,000. But they said, "We can work on it, Father." So I gave the 20,000, and they finished it. I have nothing. When they're about to finish, I said to my secretary, "Can you make a check so that we can already lessen our debt to the owner of this stained glass or supplier?" And the secretary said, "Father, we don't have enough fund. But if you wish, we can issue post-dated check." And I said, "Okay, so long we can hand something on to the one who made the stained glass." And then I left the parish. After a few, maybe an hour, my secretary called me up and said, "There's a beggar here. We asked her if what she needs, she does not say anything. Because I instructed them, if there is a beggar who comes into here, attend to their needs immediately. Give to what they need." But in that time, they said, "No, she does not want to say anything," except she said, "It's personal matter between her and you." I do not know what's that personal matter. So when I arrived, I went to my office and I asked her to come in. And when she comes to my office and I said, "Mom, what can I do to you?" And she said, "Father, you know, I thought you still be needing much here. Can I donate?" I was surprised. A beggar donating rather than asking? Yes, Mom, yes, Mom. And she handed over to me from her very old handkerchief. She handed over to me money. And I said, "Mama, we have to count it, and because I have to issue a receipt on you." No more, Father. "No, I have to do that." "What's your name?" No, don't put my name there. Just put anonymous. So I have to count your money. So I count the money. I was surprised. I received 10,000, which I needed for my check, which I issued before that. So I was caught dumbfounded. I was surprised and wondering, they said it's a beggar, but she gave something which I do not expect. But after I hand over the receipt, she left. And so when I was a bit on my consciousness. So I went out to really, and hurried out to really appreciate her donation, but I did not find her anymore. Why did I share this? The poor brings us surprises. The shepherd boy is a poor shepherd. He first witnessed the incarnation, the first coming of Jesus, and poor, yet he was able to spread the good news. And very timely that in this gospel today, this is also the day of the proclamation of the Day of the Poor, that we should recognize the poor, for in the poor we will recognize the kingdom of God.